is lesson 3.3, Standard Linear Measures, the parent help video for grade 3 everyday math. We have a lot of new vocabulary for this lesson, so I want to go over the vocabulary with you. Okay, we're talking about measurement, okay, and standard linear measurements mean measurements in a straight line, things we would use to measure in straight lines, okay. So when you see linear, linear means lines, okay, so something that we're going to measure lines with. Alright, we have a foot, okay, and a foot is the size of most rulers. Okay, a foot is the size of most rulers here. Alright, and it's 12 inches. Alright, it's about the size of a piece of paper. Okay, a yard is 36 inches or 3 feet. 3 feet. So you might have heard of a yardstick or used a yardstick before. It's 3 of these long, 3 rulers long. Okay, that's a yard. The U.S. customary system is what we use a lot in the United States. Okay, and so we're talking about feet, yard, inches. Those are all from the U.S. customary system. Those are all part of what we use to measure within the United States. So this is just U.S. Now, the rest of the world, much of the rest of the world uses something called the metric system. Okay, so other countries use the metric system. Now, sometimes we also use the metric system in the United States. So children in the United States usually learn both systems of measurement. You learn how to measure things in feet and inches and yards with the U.S. customary system, but you also learn how to measure things in centimeters, in meters, in kilometers. Okay, all of these things are the metric system. Okay, so miles is also part of the U.S. customary system, by the way. Alright, so usually there's something that comes close in the other system, and American children usually have to learn to go back and forth between the two. Alright, that's very important for you guys because you're growing up with both systems. Alright, sometimes you see things in gallons. Well, gallons is the U.S. customary system. Sometimes you see things in liters. Liters is the metric system. Alright, so we have to do a little bit of practicing with that, and that's why we're having you really look at some measurements in advertisements, in the grocery store, wherever you're going, because then you can see how big each of these things are. You have to learn by experience of seeing it. Okay? Now, personal references. So personal references are things we kind of know how big things are and can refer to it. For example, a piece of paper is about 1 foot long. So this paper here, it's about a foot. Okay, so you can kind of look at another object, maybe my desk or your desk, and say, well, this is about 5 pieces of paper long. This is about 2 pieces of paper long. Okay, that's a personal reference for you, and you would know if it's about 2 pieces of paper, it's about 2 feet. Okay, or you might say, well, I know a water bottle, the height of a water bottle is about 6 inches. Okay, or something like that, and you could say this water bottle is about 6 inches, so I know that 2 of these water bottles together would equal about a foot. Alright, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, depending on the personal reference you are using. Alright, so you gotta have things that kind of work for you. Alright, you have stuff on your body too. So for example, your thumb. Okay, from here to here, that's going to be about an inch. Alright, about an inch. Not exactly an inch. Alright, and as you grow, that's going to change. Mine's a little bit more than an inch from there to there. Yours may be a little bit less. But you could measure how many inches something was just by using your thumb. You could say, well, this is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's about 10 inches. Well, actually, it's 11 inches. But remember, I told you my thumb is a little bigger than an inch. So it made my measurement off. A thumb is not a perfect measurement, right? If you want a perfect measurement, you need to use a ruler or some other measuring device that's going to give you a perfect measurement. But if you can start to get an idea for your own personal references, your own things that you can think about. So we said a piece of paper, right? I used a water bottle. I used my thumb. Okay, just the top part of my thumb. Okay, those are all things that can be good personal references for you. All right, especially if you're doing a lot of measuring, that's important. Now, we have a few other vocabulary pieces to look at. Now, milli. Milli means 1,000th of. So milli looks like this. If you see milli, it has to do with 1,000, but actually 1,000th. So it's sort of like if I have one of those big, huge cubes, and I look at the cube, okay, I'm going to show you one. All right, and we take a look at this. There are 1,000 little cubes in here. All right, if I take only one of these cubes out, and the rest is here, one of these cubes is 1 out of 1,000. 1/1000th. And that's what the word milli means. That's exactly a prefix. It goes in front of something. Usually you see in math, you see millimeter. Millimeter. So that would mean you would have 1,000th of a meter. If you have a meter stick, okay, and a meter stick is going to be 100 centimeters long. 100 centimeters is in a meter stick. All right, and those are the ones they're the wooden sticks that are a little bit longer. Okay, they're almost the size of 3 rulers. Okay, they're quite long. There's 100 centimeters in those. All right, and centi means 1/100th of. So if I just had a flat, let's say it's just a flat, just the top layer here, 1/100th of is just going to be one of these squares. Okay, just one of these squares. All right, if I'm using a flat. Now I realize I have a cube here, but just pretend the rest is not here. We're just using only the top layer. All right, I take 1 out, that's 1/100th, and that'll be a flat. Okay, and so there are 100 centimeters in a meter. Okay, and you might remember that there are 10, let's see if I can show you. There are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. Okay, so every centimeter has 10. And if I have 100 centimeters, then I have 1,000 millimeters in there. So there's in a meter, there's 100 centimeters or 1,000 millimeters. Okay, but that's what these words mean. And then deci, okay, you're going to see this prefix sometimes. Okay, and deci means 1/10 of. 1/10 of. Okay, so a decimeter, sometimes you'll see decimeter, is going to be 10 centimeters. Okay, 10 centimeters. So all of these measuring units can get quite tricky, and the key to them is really practicing them. Okay, so as far as how parents can help out at home, okay, hopefully you have a ruler. If you don't, I'd suggest getting one. If you don't have a yardstick at home, getting one of those might help also. Okay, tape measure, anything that's going to give you measurements in inches as well as in the metric system, so in centimeters or millimeters, to get experience, and then just have kids practice measuring things. That's going to be the biggest thing that's going to help them, which is why the homework has been focused on having kids practice doing that. Okay, we also want kids to be able to estimate the lengths by checking their personal references. We want them to be able to measure to the nearest inch and centimeter. They can check their estimates. We want them to go back and forth between these units of measurement here, between the US system and the metric system. That's a challenge sometimes, but it's good that you work on it now, because then as you grow up, then it won't be as tricky for you and you'll be used to seeing it. So This is lesson 3.3, Standard Linear Measurements, the Parent Help video for grade 3 everyday math.